Hi, everyone. We are in Australia on our 5-week trip and we're going live. And I have one of my favorite people in the world here, John, and he is going to be sharing a delicious Australian recipe with you guys that is very special. So I'm super excited about this. We went live a little bit early because this is a totally different setup for Jeff and me. And so we need to know whether or not you can hear me okay, whether or not you can see John and I, and also Jeff's going to do a few different camera angles, so he'll switch those now and make sure that you can see everything, okay? Hey, George. Hi, Leanne.
Podium dingo here.
All right, so my monitor is below the camera. You're going to see me looking down here a little bit when I read the comments. So just know that's what I'm doing when I'm looking down. And otherwise, I'll try to remember to either look at you or look at John.
Yeah.
All right, so Leanne says we can see and hear you. That's great. Visuals good. Good deal. All right, I didn't read George's comment.
Okay, here's George's.
All right, let's see. Oh, okay. You know I'm still having issues with my eyes. I need my readers. Okay, George, you read it. Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I don't have a
Nobody can hear it.
microphone,
Okay.
but I'll read it.
I can't read it. I'm sorry. Just put it up on the screen. Let the
It's
people
up.
can read it.
Okay.
I can't read it. I can't see it. Okay. Sorry about that. I can read short one-liners, but when they get into the paragraphs, there's so many lights coming in that it just blurs it too much. Sorry about that. Hey, Craig, how are you? Hi, Kathy. How are you? Hey, Wendy. All right. So, hey, Rachel, how are you? Hi, Raven. Good to see everybody. Hey, KS. Hey, Sandra. Hi, Denise. Kate. Oh, my goodness.
KS says, nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, so let
How
me
are
introduce John. For those of you who do not know, like, the relationship between me and John and I met through the Salted Pepper years and years ago. Like, how long has it been?
Over 3 years.
Over 3 years. And he sent me an email one day, and I just read it, and it was like there was an instant connection between him and I. Like, I just felt like he had been my friend forever. And we started to email each other a few times. Then we started to talk through Messenger and FaceTime and things like that. And he moderates the Ninja Foodie group for me. Sorry, I'm looking down. Sorry, I'm not used to this either. So he moderates the Ninja Foodie group for me. And so he gets in there Australian time. So when the US is sleeping, he goes in and sees, is anyone acting up? He does all that. And we've just developed such a great friendship. So when he says, come to Australia, I said, okay, we will. And here we are. So it's really been exciting. We have spent the past 5 days with him and Barry. And oh my gosh, I've never been treated so well in my life. He's waiting on me. He's cooking for me. It's like I haven't lifted a finger to do anything. And that's not in my personality. So it's been interesting. But now I don't even know how I'm going to get on with the rest of my life. I mean, I need to bring him with me, right? So that's how we met each other. We're not related or anything like that, but I feel like he's my brother. And I don't know. Can you say anything else you want to say?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Okay. Hi, Elise. How are you? Hey, Barbara. How are you? Hi, Heidi. Crystal. Good to see you. Sorry you're not feeling well, but hey, this is John.
Okay, guys.
Hey, Sharon. And that is Buster or Whisper?
That was Whisper.
Whisper. He's got the cutest 2 dogs. I mean, the cutest ones. Is that Crikey?
Crikey shot.
Hi there. How are you? Hi, Dawn. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of people. Hey, Joni. How are you doing? Hi, ETM. ETM machine, I like that. ATM machine is what we need, right?
Oh, money at the moment, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Louise, how are you? Hey, Nancy. And Susan, good to see everybody. All right, so, John, what are we making today?
Well, today we're making Anzac biscuits. Anzac biscuits are a biscuit that family and friends made for the troops back in World War One to send over. It could be 6 weeks before they actually got to them. So it was a very, very simple biscuit that was made. It's a protected biscuit. The recipe can't be altered from that if you're going to call it an Anzac biscuit.
And we'll get into that a little bit later, because
Yep.
that I think is really fascinating.
Yeah, so they're a good little biscuit. They're fairly easy to make. There's nothing hard about them at all. On that, they're very simple, basic ingredients on that, but they're lovely.
They are delicious. So one night, were we on the phone or just text messaging?
We were messaging.
And I said, I want something sweet. I want something like an oatmeal raisin cookie or something. I want something sweet, but I want it to be really simple to make. And this is my weirdness. This is like 8:30 at night or something, my time. And I'm going to go and make cookies, right? Who does that? I mean, people plan things out, but not me. So I'm like, John, what could I make, that's really quick and blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, do you want to try your hand at an Anzac biscuit? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. What are they? And he told me the ingredients, and I thought, okay, that's kind of like an oatmeal cookie. The coconut kind of threw me a little bit. It's really a basic recipe. So I said, all right, I'm going to try my hand at them. I cut the recipe in half. I made them, and I fell in love with them. They are so good. So I encourage everybody to write down the ingredients that we're going to share with you. We're doing them in U.S. measurements, but you can weigh them too. John, you didn't weigh anything though, did you?
No.
And so we'll have metric, and I
Yes.
guess can we post it? Are we allowed to post it somewhere?
Yes, you can post it.
Okay,
There's
so
not a problem with
so
that.
we can post his modified recipe. I just don't know where. Probably I'll take a quick picture of them at the end, and I'll post them on Facebook, so that everybody can make them. I really encourage you to make them. They are just truly a special biscuit. Don't call them cookies. Did I call them cookies?
No.
I might have called them cookies.
No.
Don't call them cookies. They're not cookies. They're biscuits. Yeah. Okay.
All
so
right.
let's get started then.
Okay.
Do you mind if I move that? Oh, you got it.
Okay. So basically the measurements in Australia are very, very similar to the US. So when we refer to a cup, your cups are just slightly less than ours, but it's not going to muck up the recipe whatsoever. So basically in our recipe, all we're doing is we've got a cup of flour, cup of oats, cup of sugar. Now this sugar that I've got here is a mixture of half and half. So it's white sugar and half brown sugar in that one. Then we've got a 3/4 cup of desiccated coconut.
Do you have the bag that came in?
Yes, I can find
And
that.
the reason why is because desiccated coconut is not something that we find in the U.S. I used unsweetened shredded coconut. Now I can tell you that this is a lot finer of a grind now that I'm seeing it in person. So what I would say is let me see if it's sweetened or unsweetened. Let's
It's
see.
unsweetened.
No added sugar.
No.
So yeah, so it'd be unsweetened. Looking for the ingredients. Coconut. That's always good.
Well, it's a good start.
The coconut is coconut.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh my God.
but there is.
I'm telling you, there's some foods here, a lot of foods here that just taste better.
But if all you can find is a shredded coconut, that's just fine too.
It is fine, but
Just
if you
create
wanted
some
to do it this way, throw it through your blender for a second.
Yep.
Or your food processor.
Exactly.
For a few pulses. Like when John was trying to explain to me what decimated coconut, I'm like, what is decimated coconut?
Desecrated.
Or desecrated. What is desecrated
Dedicated.
coconut? what is that? Like, what is that? We don't have that. I didn't know. It's really fine. It is almost as fine as granulated
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
It's very fine.
And see, in Australia, we have a white sugar, and then we also have what's called a caster sugar. And the caster sugar is finer than the white sugar. But if you want that finer sugar, if you're lucky enough to have a blender, put it in there and give it a few zaps through that, and then you can use that, and that'll be virtually an equivalent. But it makes no difference whether you're using a plain white sugar or the caster. It still works the same.
Did you use castor here?
There's no, there's plain white sugar
So
in
you
here.
did granulated sugar.
And then the brown, and this is already pre-mixed.
Right.
So virtually in the bowl, all we do is we put it in.
Should we talk about the mixer before you add the
Yeah,
ingredients?
well-
Because I know people are going to ask about this mixer.
Yeah.
This is like the fanciest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I can't get one in the U.S. We can't get them in the U.S. And that is unusual, isn't it, guys? Because usually we can get in the U.S., we can't get in other places.
Yep.
But this little fancy contraption is not available to us in the U.S. So I live vicariously through John. He tells me all the things that he's making in it. And it is like the combination of a stand mixer and the Thermomix.
Thermomix.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let John tell you all that it does real quick.
This is a Kenwood cooking chef. And virtually what it'll do, it's very similar to a Thermomix. It has an inbuilt induction cooktop in there. It also has built-in scales on that, so you can measure as you're going. And it makes no difference when you're measuring. Simply put it back to 0 on that. So you could be measuring up here if you wanted to. So we can bring that back to 0. So if we decided we wanted to measure up here, that becomes a measure as well. So you can do amazing things with that. And it has preconditions. There's pre-programs in it as well, which you just go. So I'm still learning this one. I haven't had it all that long, but it's a fabulous machine, and it does a marvellous job with the different things that we've done. Meringues are absolutely beautiful, so wonderful on that.
Oh, it's just amazing what he's made. And let me just tell you about, after he gets this done, I will tell you about how good of a cook he is. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Oh, well,
okay.
I'll have to leave out of the kitchen at that rate.
Why? Because you blush?
Oh, yeah. You can't get any redder than the head. We went out walking the other day and got sunburned.
I did too.
That's
I
why
got
it's how shiny.
And the funny thing is I was like yelling at him, like, John, you got to put sunscreen on the top of your head.
Put
You're
your
going to
hat-
burn.
yeah.
Meanwhile, I come back with a nice strip of red across my forehead, and his head is glowing a little bit.
Yeah, so, I know I'm a bit of hot stuff, but that was ridiculous. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got a cup of rolled oats, which we're going to put in the bowl. And we've got a cup of plain flour. Now, bearing in mind, as I said, your cups are so little difference that it's not going to worry about the mixture at all. Half and half of sugar, brown sugar and white sugar, which I've already mixed together, so it makes it a bit easier. That just goes all into that. And then we've got 3/4 of a cup of coconut. Whichever coconut you've got is fine. And that just goes into there. And all I like to do with this is just to put it down, just give it a little bit of a mix, just to mix the ingredients. Yeah, that's it. So just a bit of noise.
That is so quiet. That's no noise.
Oh, wait for it.
Oh.
Go that way. Now we'll do it. So that's just to mix that up.
Still not
And
loud.
that's to do that. So now, the other ingredients that we're going
Here,
to...
let me get your pot.
That's all right, thank you. So the other ingredients we're going to use is a golden syrup. Okay, so golden syrup or treacle you can use on that, or what's the equivalent that we could use in the US?
So I have bought golden syrup, not that brand, but a different brand from the UK. I got it on Amazon. Oh my gosh. If you want something special in the US, order that off of Amazon. I can't remember. Maybe George might know the name of it. I know he's from Scotland, but there's a name for this type of golden syrup. I didn't see this brand on the Amazon. But anyway, it is a really special type of flavor. Like it is nothing that I've ever had in the US before. I can't even describe it, okay? But I have been trying to recreate it, and it's a little bit difficult to recreate because it is just such a complex but delicious flavor. It's not like our straight molasses. It's not like our straight honey, for sure. But it does have some honey undertones with some molasses undertones with some black strap molasses undertones, which would be, I think, similar to the treacle, which is a dark molasses and not quite as sweet as our lighter molasses. So I would play around with it. First of all, if you really want to make them, I would just order off of Amazon. It's not that expensive. I would get the golden syrup, whether it's the UK version or not. Do you know the name of it? Yes, Lyle's. That's it. That's it. Thank you, George. Lyle's golden syrup is what I got. It's fantastic. This one I've tasted is fantastic as well. All right, so
in this, what we're going to do in the saucepan is we're going to put, for Australia, 125 grams, which is half a cup for the US, or a stick of butter into that.
is that salted or not salted?
Doesn't matter. You choose,
Okay.
you choose whichever. It
Because
really
you don't
doesn't
have any
matter.
salt in there at all.
No.
Okay,
No
so-
salt. There's nothing.
Salt or no salt?
And then we've got 2 tablespoons in Australia. So for the US, make that 3 tablespoons.
And we are doing that because there's a little
We're
bit of
doing
difference
it because
with
there's
the butter.
difference in the margarine size. Ours
Not
is
margarine.
butter. Apologies.
Way different.
Yeah, way different. And so yeah, there's a difference because half a cup for you is 113 grams to us. So by adding the extra liquid with the golden syrup, that'll balance it out quite all right. So the golden syrup is, you know, a very yummy. Oh, yummy.
It is very
Yummy.
yummy. It's so
On
good.
that. So it's very, very sticky.
Yep. So
That'll go
kind of
fine.
like our honey and
Yep.
you know, king syrup. If anyone can get king syrup, which is something that I grew up with, instead of like a regular pancake syrup, I would have king syrup. I love the stuff. That is not exactly, but it is similar to this. If you had king syrup and maybe a bit of blackstrap molasses, I think you would come close to this flavor of the golden syrup. So it's interesting that it's melted. And do you have any reason why it's
Well, the
melted?
reason is that because the golden syrup is so thick, we mix it with the butter. All right, so the butter, we get that to melt a little bit more bubbly, not too hot, but it makes the golden syrup a little bit more runny. Because then what we're going to do is we're actually going to add half a teaspoon of bicarbonate soda to some hot water.
Oh, right. I forgot about
And
that.
then we're going to mix that into that. So I'll get that organised in just a minute once that comes up to scratch on that. But in the meantime, if I don't start the oven, we're not going to be able to cook anything.
That's right. Preheat the
Better
oven.
Preheat the oven.
And what is the temperature?
And that is for all of us is 160 C. For you, it's 320 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, or
All right?
325 would work.
320,
okay. I think I
325.
did 325. Okay. I haven't been looking at the comments. I do apologize. Jeff, have you been glancing through? Are there any that we need to address, or any? Do you have any questions? When I say address, I don't mean like address, like like.
Frothy
I just
up.
mean, I just mean like, well, John's not in there to moderate right now, so maybe we do have to address them, but hopefully not.
George was asking John if that's the latest version of the.
That is the latest version in Australia. Yes, George.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, good question. Steel cut oats, instant oats,
Okay.
or
No,
regular
we
oats?
use rolled oats. Do
Rolled.
not use instant. You'll end up with mush.
Yes, and
that.
do not use steel cut either. They would be too hard.
Yep. Yep. So the rolled oats
Molasses
are the
and
best.
honey. It's Wendy. Unless you've had the golden syrup,
Mm.
it is so hard to replicate. But you could use molasses and honey.
Yep.
But I would use dark molasses and honey, and I would probably do. Well, let me take a little tasty. Let's talk about this. And I left this out because this looks like a U.S. measure.
It is.
Okay, I was gonna say this looks exactly like one I have.
It is.
Okay.
This house has lots of measuring cups
Yes.
and spoons.
Yes. All right. So let's see. Now, Jeff, you've tasted this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's so good.
I think molasses and honey is pretty darn close.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
The description.
it would be. Yeah.
a little. But how much of how much? It wouldn't be a 50-50.
More molasses.
I think it would be more molasses. Okay, taste it. It is so good. Like, it is so unusual. It is really, really good. It definitely has a blackstrap molasses. So I would look for blackstrap molasses, which is what I use in my pecan pie. And I would do blackstrap molasses, probably almost a commercial sugary pancake syrup, whether it's king syrup or Aunt Jemima or one of those, and a little bit of honey. That would be my way to kind of do it. But I'm trying to make it a totally different way with it because it's an inverted sugar. I'm trying to make it in a slow cooker, but I've been trying to make it for 2 years and I've never gotten the flavor right. But I'm still going to keep trying. So hopefully I can make it one day.
You'll be fine.
Hopefully.
That's
Now
all-
you
I'm
don't
just
brown
watching-
the butter, right?
No,
It's not
I'm
a
just-
brown
I'm
butter,
just watching it.
but that would be
just watching
that
it.
would be
It's
delicious too. But
almost
don't call it
melted.
Anzac biscuit then, right? If you
Or-
brown the butter.
A little bit longer.
Nancy's asking what time is it here, so people get an idea of the time.
Oh yeah, it's so weird.
It's 9:47 a.m.
9:47 a.m. on March 19th. That's important. We are a day ahead, which has been really weird for me to be able to answer questions in my groups, to be able to interact with people online. It's like I have no window of opportunity to do that anymore. It's really strange. So ETM says, this is off topic, but I was curious since we just had St. Patrick's Day, do you guys make corned beef and cabbage or is that just a U.S. thing? I asked John this just the other day.
Well, it's not something that we celebrate in that regard. We respect the holiday, but with a lot of the Irish, they do their usual thing. They go to the pubs. That's what they would serve at the hotels around. But it's not something, there's not as big an Irish population as what you would have over there. So, you know, it is celebrated, it's recognised. If I was doing dancing, then we'd be dancing with the hat that Louise had on and things
Oh, I
like
did,
that.
yeah.
So fun and games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's still celebrated.
And I don't think, and somebody from Ireland can correct me if I'm wrong, but I honestly do not think that in Ireland they are celebrating with corned beef and cabbage. I do believe that is an Irish American thing. I could be wrong, so correct me. I am Irish, by the way, so don't come at me, but I could be wrong about that. But I think that's what my grandmother told me. And my great-grandmother was born and raised in Ireland. And I think she told me that it's really a U.S. thing. But it is delicious, and we do it all the time. And every year since I was born, we have had corned beef and cabbage and Irish soda bread for St. Patty's Day. All right.
Now the noise you
Hey,
can,
Kat, how are you?
now the noise you can hear in the background is just the hot water urn going.
Somebody said, do they have flapjacks?
I don't know where
Pancakes.
Louise Cohen, I don't know where she's from.
Okay. Flapjacks are pancakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would call them pancakes. Now, I don't know if there's any distinction between the two because I've never actually looked up a recipe for flapjacks, but I've heard them used, those terms used interchangeably in the U.S. Flapjacks and
There might be some states where people say flapjack.
could be.
All right.
So John was saying that he has, he just made some hot water
Hot
because
water.
he's going to dissolve the baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, in the hot water. And what is the reason for that?
Well, it's to get it frothy. So what happens is this. So we're now taking 1 tablespoon of boiling water, and I'm just putting into that because that's where I want to mix it in.
Okay.
And that's the easiest way to do it. So now we take 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb. Put it in there, just mix it into the hot water, which is what we're doing.
And it dissolves it.
And it dissolves into that.
But I wonder what the advantage is. Maybe because there's not a lot of liquid in the recipe.
Well, the thing is, if you go to put it straight into this mixture,
Oh, okay.
okay, which is just the, where are we? Okay, so that's just the butter and that melted in that. So now what you're going to see is the reaction. So when I put this into here, now all of
look
a sudden it's going to froth.
Okay.
So it's how you make, it's similar to how you make honeycomb. Okay?
Honeycomb.
Yeah. Now
I think we're gonna have to come back.
That's a trick. Oh yeah, you're coming back.
Oh, we have to come back
You're
and make
coming back,
honeycomb.
guys.
I've never made honeycomb.
And so now with that,
Mine didn't do that.
so with that, that's now what we do.
I guess I made it wrong.
Is we pour it into that,
Hot, just like that.
just hot, just like that. That's
Mine
all
didn't do
you
that, John.
Okay. It's very hard to try and relate without actually seeing
Well,
what
now
we're
I
doing.
can see what.
you know?
Yes.
That's the effect that you have with that.
Thank you so much for doing this, John, because
That's okay.
mine didn't froth. I might not have done it thinking
So
it was
now
a
all we're going to
nonsense
do
step.
is bring that all together.
Okay.
So be a
Very
little
cool.
bit of noise. don't want the preset. Go back. Where are we? It's all right. I'm going backwards here. Oh, here we go. Trust me to muck it up. I'm still
And
learning.
it's got Wi-Fi.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
There we are. I'm going in the right. See, I'm working backwards, guys. This is not normal for me.
Oh,
All right.
so tell everybody how hard it is because that's
It's
what I do.
not easy.
It's not
This
easy.
is difficult.
It's not easy.
It's difficult.
It's not easy.
Okay, so that's mixing up really, really good. And that
That mixer is amazing.
should be it. And so that's what we end up with. All right, it looks like a crumbly
It
mess.
is crumbly.
It's as sticky as anything that you can possibly imagine. And then all we do is spoon it. So if you don't have any of these, you can just use a spoon, couple of teaspoons.
What size?
So what's that? That's the smallest of the range, so that's about a teaspoon, just over a
Yeah.
teaspoon.
Yeah, probably a teaspoon,
So same
teaspoon
sort of
and a
thing.
half.
And we just pop them on the trays.
And you don't even press them down, do you?
No, don't need to,
And how far apart do they need to be?
as far as you want.
Now, I know you
Yep.
very well. And I've seen the food that you're putting out. Are you rushing or is this okay?
This is, I'm going to go through and get the rest of that off shortly. It doesn't matter because what's going to happen, once we start to cook it, it's going to flatten down a bit
Okay.
and dry out. So it's not going to be a major issue.
Because I usually just plop them on because I don't care.
No.
But I know John, he is precise. His food is precise. If you see like one of his, well, they call them toasties, we call them grilled cheese or grilled sandwiches. You see one of his toasties and it's like the absolute perfect color from edge to edge to edge to edge to edge. Perfection. So
Look, I make muck-ups too, don't worry.
I haven't seen one. No. In fact, for those of you that didn't see my post, this is kind of like hard to admit, but he made one of my recipes, which was beef tips and rice, and he made it better than me. Yes, that is the truth.
Now, if you don't have one of these and you need to, just grab a little ball.
Yep.
Just put it in your hand.
But don't compact it too much, right? Because you don't.
Just compact it too much and just pop it down.
And
That's
that'll
it.
work just as fine.
And that'll work just as
Here, we're
fine.
gonna put that here, and then we're gonna know that's the one.
Okay.
We're gonna see what the differences.
But sometimes it can be really, really sticky, and by the time you've done 35 of them, that's the last thing you want to know about.
And my hands are clean, by the way.
So am mine.
I know.
I've wiped them on Louise's blouse before.
Yeah. Oh.
So
Okay,
that's it.
so UK, Louise is saying, let's read that. Flapjacks are rolled oats, syrup, butter, sugar mixed together and
Okay.
presented in a baking tray, bake and cut into bars. Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious. That is nothing like I was thinking about flapjacks in the US. So I totally got that wrong. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so now
Okay.
all we're going to do is we're going to put them into the oven at 370,
360.
360. And
No,
160
160, 320,
Celsius
325.
Or 325. All right, and that's
Yeah.
all we're going to do. We're going
And
to
that makes 35, but we're only making one
we're
tray.
only making one tray.
You know, because Jeff and I are actually getting on the road right after this. We have, now we go on to our next adventure in Australia.
Normal was asking if we start at 6 p.m. as a rule now.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what we're doing. We talked about going a little bit earlier because I'll tell you guys, as I get older, I hit this wall at nighttime. Like John saw it last night. There's a wall where all of a sudden I am so tired I can't even think. I just can't do anything. It is pathetic. And it is somewhere around 8:30. So I've been thinking about switching the lives to 6:30 Central Time, which would be a little bit earlier than we usually do, which is 7 o'clock Central Time. I think we're going to try that when we get back and see how it goes. But we're still here for another 3 weeks. So we'll try to go live, but it'll be willy-nilly when we go live. There's no schedule to it because we found we don't know when we're going to have good internet, when we're not. So we can't really schedule things ahead of time. We don't know when we're in a totally different time zone. So we don't really know how it's going to work. We've tried to go live at 10 o'clock when we've had some interesting things going on. And that worked fine in the cities. But once we got into the middle of the country, that would be kind of middle west,
where
middle.
you were, where you were in Central Australia.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very hard.
And there was no internet. We stayed on a cattle station, and unless you were right up at the homestead, which our cabin area was not, you couldn't get any internet. So we couldn't go live there at all.
So we got a couple thumbs
Okay.
up for earlier.
Oh, good, good, because yeah, I think everybody's okay with the earlier. I really do, from what I gathered. So we are going to try that. And if 6:30 isn't early enough, we will go at 6 o'clock. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm good at 6 o'clock. That works perfectly for me.
It's good for me.
Yeah, and it's good for you. Exactly. This is a good time, 9:30 in the morning. All right. Anything else that we need to talk about? Well, these are in the thing.
They're in the oven. They take 10 minutes.
Did you go through the history?
Let's
the
get-
history and
All right.
Yeah, let's do the history.
All right. I've got a cheat sheet, guys, because it's very hard to remember a lot of things.
Yeah, and we want to get it right too. It's very important. This is a recipe that is important. It's a historical type of recipe,
Yeah.
and it's important, and we don't want to mess it up. And don't call it cookies. Okay.
No. The thing is, the Anzac biscuits, what the name Anzac is an acronym, and it's Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. All right. So we fought alongside with the Kiwis, as we nickname them, and they come along. Our Australian Anzacs are called diggers and have been in all time that I can remember, and back into World War One. So these biscuits were actually made by the families, by their wives, by the girlfriends, and they were shipped over, and sometimes they couldn't get these for about 6 weeks. And so the idea was there were no eggs in this recipe whatsoever.
Or dairy.
Or dairy of any kind, and that's the reason they lasted, because you've got so much sugar. That's the preservative. The golden syrup or the treacle or whatever you're using is also the coating over that keeps it that way. So you might start off because a raw sugar is a softer sugar, so it makes it a bit more chewy. If you're using just a white sugar, it's a lot more crunchy. It depends on your taste. If you want all raw sugar, then use all raw sugar. So
And like get rid of the
the white completely out of that.
So if you wanted raw sugar, but would you get rid of the golden syrup?
No, you still keep that because you're still using 1 cup of
okay,
sugar.
okay.
How you've made that cup up is completely up to you.
So traditionally, I think it's 1 cup of a white
Yes.
granulated or castor actually.
Yeah.
1 cup of castor sugar, but for flavor purposes, you
Yeah.
switched it to do a half and a half.
Yeah. The thing is that under the regulation, because what happens is because they were biscuits for the servicemen, it is now regulated by the Department of Veteran Affairs in Australia.
And they call it like a protective.
It's like a protective on
recipe.
that. So the basic measurements that we're putting forward are exactly the same no matter where you are on that. But as I said, if you want to vary that a little bit as far as the type of sugar you're using, you're still using sugar. So you're not deviating from the actual recipe. So that's not a problem. But if you start to put in, oh, I'd like to put some raisins in it, I want to put some chocolate in it, or things like that, then you've deviated from what is regularly called an Anzac biscuit or a slice. Okay, it's referred to a slice as well.
Anzac slice.
It is never referred or to be called a cookie.
Yeah.
All right, that's the preservation of that. So this is how important it is to the veterans.
Yes.
On that. So if you guys at home want to make it with that and that, you can't call it an Anzac biscuit or slice, but you can say, all right, this is based on the ingredients from an Anzac biscuit.
Right.
You know, so you haven't actually called it that. That is the protection that we have in Australia on that. And while I'm on that, can I just say a big thank you to those who have served or are serving at the moment for your service. It's much appreciated.
Yes.
Thank
very
you for
much.
that. So that's the main reason on that. So this is what we call an accepted form of a biscuit in here in Australia on that one. So that's basically the main history of that. But it was something that was from home, it was nutrition, and look, let's face it, I don't know what it was like in the war, but sometimes food was very, very little. It may not have been the quality that we got, and constipation is not a good thing. This can keep you fairly regular with the oats and with the
Oh my gosh, Jeff and Barry are like,
Paul,
they're cracking up.
I've
so
shot
if you need to poop, make Anzac biscuits.
That's right, it'll help there. So anyway, it's just my tip for the day, you know.
Oh my
on
gosh.
that one. Exactly.
Now, John, can you talk a little bit about the difference between a biscuit and a slice?
Okay, all right, so with a slice...
What is a slice?
A slice is virtually, you're putting it into a square pan, you're still doing your Anzacs in that, but you're just cutting them into squares or to slices so they're a little bit handier to do. So there's really no difference to the biscuit itself. It's just the presentation on that.
But the cook time would be different.
The cook time can be different because you're on a longer tray on that. The easier way is to do it as we've done it as a biscuit in that regard, because the heat gets to all the areas and do that. Now the thing is, you can't tend to overcook unless it goes black, then you've done it. But generally, you just keep an eye on it. 10 to 12 minutes is usually a good way for cooking on these. You can do it in a slower oven than what I'm doing now. It makes no difference how you cook it. It takes a longer period of time. It can make that a little bit crispier and drier. So you'll see that most Anzac biscuits, when they're finished, have a ripply effect on the top of them. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Didn't happen to mine.
And if it doesn't, it means that your bicarb is out on that. It's not giving the bill
I
on
didn't froth mine. I didn't do it correctly. I didn't listen to John.
That's all
But they
right.
were still good, but they were different. So now
Yeah.
that I see how it worked.
and
Okay,
mine-
Norma wants to know what we're making. Norma, we just went through the history, so we're not going to go through the history again of this. But John, what are we making?
We're making Anzac biscuits, which were a biscuit that was sent to the troops in World War I and has been going to a lot of the troops ever since. And it's one of the biscuits that in Australia everyone tends to make. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't make an Anzac biscuit at one time in their life.
Do you, like, and you don't call them cookies.
No.
Are all of your, I hate
Well-
cookie, like, are they all called biscuits? Like, what
every-
is the reason it's called a biscuit versus a
Well,
cookie?
The thing is, it's only in recent years when we're starting to get different styles of cookies from America. Everything in Australia has been known as a biscuit. So whether it's a choc chip cookie,
I want to see,
Okay.
in fact, do you have those?
yes, I've got some choc chip.
Okay, I was going to walk around and grab the
that's
little
all
bag that he gave me, but I want you guys to see these, okay? 'Cause in the U.S., this is not necessarily what our, where do you want this to be closed up? Okay, this is not necessarily what our cookies look like, chocolate chip cookies. These are like, they're so different. They are so good though. And would you call this a biscuit or a chocolate chip cookie? John?
That is called a choc chip cookie.
A chocolate chip cookie. Okay. They are amazing. They are so delicious. They remind me of my Congo bar recipe in a cookie form. So I just found that really interesting that they're puffy, and I'll break one open here because, it's never too early for a chocolate cookie. If I can break, there we go. So it's kind of like, if you ever had a blondie, it's kind of like a dense, it's kind of like a dense, but delicious, not dry or anything, center here. So this is like a Congo bar, or what my Congo bars look like, but he does them in cookie form, and they're delicious. And would this be a typical chocolate chip cookie here?
It is in this house.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
Because a lot of choc chip cookies that you buy are actually a lot flatter again.
Okay.
But mine
so,
just tend to stay like
So this
that.
is just your recipe.
Yeah, this is
I'll
just
have to
the
look
way-
at your recipe.
It's
I bet it's a lot similar to my Congo
Yeah.
bar recipe.
Yeah. Now these recipes that I tend to use, and it's plugging, but it comes from a book called the Australian Women's Weekly. Now they have been around for many, many years. And their recipes are like Louise's, where they trial and trial and trial and trial, and you don't make failures on that. So that's my go-to for things on that.
They're delicious too.
Which are really, really good.
George, question for John. Is there a traditional meal for Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand? Which Anzac Day is coming up in April.
Anzac Day is the 25th of April in Australia. I think the staple meal on Anzac Day is called beer.
Beer and biscuits. Beer and biscuits.
And I mean that with all due respects to servicemen and women. On Anzac Day, they have their Anzac Day March here, and in all states and territories in Australia. And so the thing is, once they've marched, they end up going to the pub. Whether they eat anything, I can't say, but it's usually a good time to have the old chin wag with a glass in the hand on that one, and catching up with those mates that they haven't seen for a while on that. So, yeah. But yeah.
And Kathy, to answer your question, can you give the recipe for the cookie? Yes, when they are done, I'm going to shoot a picture really quick.
Yep.
We'll post the recipe that he used with his changes. So this is going to be John's version of Anzac biscuits, and I'll post it to my Facebook page, and we'll have the recipe and the picture of the cookie.
Yeah, it won't be too long now.
It's not a cookie! Biscuits.
We have to leave Australia now.
We're kicked out.
Well, you'd be kicked out of the house in about 20 minutes.
I think the people know my intent. Certainly not to be disrespectful. It's just hard habits are hard to break.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, they look a little bit different to the ones I have made
Oh my gosh.
on that, and that could be because I had the ingredients prepared yesterday, so we wouldn't waste time today.
Now what? So tell me, what is the difference? Because they look delicious.
Well, the difference is that they're usually a little bit more cracked all over.
I see.
But hey, there are no failures when you make these biscuits, because all ingredients can vary in moisture. Your flour could be more moist. You could be the fact that your oats have absorbed a little bit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
As long as you've got the general thing there, they're fine. So if another person made an answer, oh, mine's better than yours, well, I wouldn't care less. It's the taste that's in that. And bearing in mind the one thing I didn't say with your flour, it's just plain flour or all-purpose flour.
Yes,
it
all-purpose
doesn't have to be
plain.
anything special, because at a time of war, not everything was available, so you used what was on hand at that time. But I can show you what my last lot were, if I remember where I put them. Just bear with me.
Oh, wait. Okay. I was gonna say, you didn't give them to me already, did you?
No.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Oh yeah,
So that's
little flatter.
a little flatter. All right.
All
On that.
right.
So they've come up a little bit, but as they cool down, they'll actually drop.
Yeah.
And for a lot of Aussies, they'd look at that and say, well, John, that hasn't got the crackling and, the lines through it and all that. But that's a commercial cook on that. This is a homemade cook. No matter what you do, there are no guarantees that the photo you see is going to be exactly how yours are going to turn out.
That's right.
And it doesn't
Especially if you're on
matter.
Facebook looking at the AI stuff with the
Yeah.
whole strawberries in a pie.
Yeah.
That's been baked.
That's right. And talking about AI, I can definitely say these are not artificial. These
Yeah.
people are real.
We are.
I'm artificial now, but these two are real, and I didn't realise that until they actually got on the platform.
Yeah, he
of the
thought the
train.
whole time we were just AI bots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as they start to cool, they start to drop
Yeah,
down
yeah.
slightly on
And that's
that one.
pretty normal.
So as I said, there's no right or wrong way. If you feel it's not quite up to what you want, just give it a little bit more time. Take it up to another minute, another 2 minutes. As Louise always says, it's better to undercook than overcook. But just enjoy them. They're really good.
They
There's
are really
nothing
good.
wrong with them. They'll be just fine on that. It's the mixture of flavours. And the thing is, I know that if I leave them in the tin for 6 weeks, they're going to be just fine. They don't last that long in this place, though.
No, they don't.
It's just fine.
They're so good. So I also want to tell you that this is why almost every recipe of mine, like I'll do, and I'll test them and test them and test them, and they come out looking, things come out looking like this, which is absolutely probably one of the most perfect biscuits that I've ever seen as far as even thickness, beautiful coloring on the top. This is what I'm talking about, John's perfectionism. This is absolutely perfect. But when you are on camera and you are doing things, it changes. Things
Yeah.
always are a little
Yeah.
bit different when
Yeah.
you're on camera. It's so funny. So now you have that experience. And look, this one is a little bit more like this. And this one was
That
formed a little bit
was the one
more.
we did by
Do you
hand.
always parchment?
I always do
line?
that because it tends to stick on that. So parchment's a lot easier. It makes cleaning
'Cause
easier.
look, they're a little.
They just come off.
Now I wonder if we had too much butter in there.
No.
No.
No, it'll be the heat coming through from that.
Okay.
So
All right.
That's all right. As I
Because
said,
we
it
kind of
just
played around
varies.
with the measurements so that we could
Yeah. It's
have it easy for U.S. and
Yeah.
Australian and metric and all that stuff.
But as I said, it looks a little bit different to what it normally comes out with, but that's just adjusting those measurements
Mine
to see how it would go.
Mine look like these.
Hey, they're
so
edible.
delicious. They're so good. Is there anything, Barry, that we missed?
No.
Barry is a complete, historian. He is just a wonderful person, and we want to make sure we didn't miss anything.
And he's also the taste tester. If he doesn't like it, I'm back in the kitchen.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. Yeah, George says, is anyone else thinking what I'm thinking, that Louise wants to really eat one? Oh, I'm going to eat one, but I'm going to be fair, and we're going to let them cool off a little bit.
While.
Now, do you normally take them
I
off?
take them off those.
Yeah, so let's take them off. They'll cool a little bit faster. And
actually doing
Betty,
quite
we will
well.
definitely have the recipe written down, and I will do that when I'm on the road, though. So give me a couple of hours before I get it out on Facebook. And if anybody wants it emailed, you can. Oh gosh, I'm gonna really invite, but I'll just copy and paste the thing. If you want it emailed to you, you can email me, louise@thesaltedpepper.com. But I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to get to that, really. So
Another 3 weeks with a bit of luck.
no, well, yeah, I haven't been doing much work from here. It's very hard, but yeah, John doesn't want me to work at all. He's like, no, don't work at all. It's your holiday. Don't work
That's
at all.
right, that's right, that's
But I can't do that. It's too hard for me not to work.
It's been interesting.
It's just too hard.
Not letting too many cats out of the bag, so to speak. But it's been interesting from my point of view to see the other side of what Louise does. And
I was going to say of my personality.
No.
Are we going there?
Nothing wrong with your personality. But seeing the other side and the dedication of what they do to present these lives, but also the work and the time it takes to write up and do things. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
And these guys are supposed to be on holiday, but they're putting quite a few hours in each day here to make sure that we get our recipes or answered emails or whatever. And I think that's absolutely amazing, and you should be very, very proud of these two people because what they do for us is, I'm getting a tear, is absolutely,
So am I.
absolutely amazing. And I'm very, very pleased and fortunate to be able to call them my friends
Thank you, John.
and our friends.
You're making me cry.
Yeah, and me. Oh, we're both Geminis and we're both blubbers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's. I think both Jeff and I do have a huge commitment, and it's easy for people to say, "Oh, just don't work, don't work." I just can't do that. Like, there are people that have questions, and I want to answer them, and I don't get to everybody all the time, and it's been really hard to do it here, but. So please don't take offense if I didn't answer your question or I haven't responded to your email yet. I will do my best to do that over the next 3 weeks or so. But you guys are important to me, like so important to me. And just like with John, like we've developed a friendship, and I think all of the regulars that are in the lives all the time, and we have gotten to know each other and really developed a friendship with each other that is. I've never seen in a group before, a group of people online, the amount of love and care and courtesy that is shown to each other, and the communication and the laughter and the fun stuff that we get into. And I just am just so incredibly lucky to have found you guys. or for you to have found me, whichever way it worked. And I'm just, I don't know, speechless half the time over it because it's like, pinch me. Is this real? You know? But it is. Are you going to pinch me?
Well, they should be coolish enough to give it a try. So give it a little try and see what you think.
Okay, let's see.
Pasta.
Oh my gosh, these are so good. I already know they're good. Now, these are going to be perfect for me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they're going to have the crunchy and the chewy. Okay. All right. Okay. For those of you that know this. I don't think I've ever done that for my own food.
I just threw out our passports. We're staying.
Oh, the shredder's there.
Yeah.
And they're still warm.
Here you go. These are the best cookies ever.
They're not cookies.
Yeah.
You can smack me. Okay.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
These are the best biscuits ever. Don't call them cookies.
Oh, they're so good.
And even they don't look like what Anzac biscuits usually look like, they taste like them.
They're so good. I can't even describe them. Well, how would you describe them? Because they have a flavor. They are not like a cinnamon raisin cookie that we would call in the U.S. because there's raisins in them, but they're not even like an oatmeal. There's
They are very hard to describe.
They are so hard to describe.
It's not fair to just.
It's not even
no.
fair. I would just say,
Yeah, you
give them a
can't.
try, because I think you're gonna love them. So the coconut is like mild, but it's there. Like
Yeah.
it just, oh my gosh, everything comes together. It's so perfect. All right, any final questions before we sign off here? Good job. Now look, I'm gonna taste this one
Yeah,
too.
do that one.
Now this one's hard.
This has been there for a little while. And this is what it's like when
So
it's
is
shipped overseas.
okay, right?
So that one would be about 3 weeks old.
Okay, 3 weeks old.
Oh, let me get a shot.
And they get harder. They
3
just
minutes.
don't go off.
3 minutes old. They're still good. Now, in all fairness, this one's a little better.
Because it's fresh.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. You lose a little
You lose
bit,
the sweetness a little bit.
just a little bit, because it's exposed to the elements. I mean, when you think at the time, it was probably wrapped in a brown paper bag or something, because we didn't have plastic, we didn't have Glad wraps or cling wraps or anything like that, or plastic bags to send. So they would have been drying out slowly as they were going on that.
And
But
it loses a little sweetness, but
yeah, but the sugar was the energy as well as the golden
Love
syrup
it.
was part of the energy in it. So that was good for them on that one.
Say hello to Carrick.
hey, Carrick, how are you?
We're heading your way.
We're heading your way. We leave in just a few minutes, and we're doing the Great Ocean Road up to Melbourne. Okay. Bonnie says great dunkers when they get hard, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, you can do
serve them
that. Yep,
with tea.
yep. Not a problem with that.
They are just so good. They are my favorite biscuit. Now, biscuits in the U.S. are like bread,
Yes.
so it's different.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
they are my favorite sweet biscuit.
Good.
Can you
I'm
call
glad-
them a sweet biscuit?
You can call them a sweet biscuit. I'm glad
That's
you
a good
enjoyed
name
it.
for it. That's a good name for an animal, sweet biscuit.
Sweet biscuit.
I
There's
like
a
that.
nice comment from Nancy.
It was nice meeting you, John. I really enjoyed the live. Louise and Jeff, enjoy the rest of your vacation. Take care and safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right. And Leanne says, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Juliet says, do you dunk the hard ones? You can. I
Yeah.
mean, but you can eat them too.
Yeah.
'Cause either way.
You
they're
can eat
fine.
them.
Yep.
Believe me, they are hard and they will get harder
Yeah.
on that one. But they'll be just fine on that. But you can
But
have...
then if they're sent to a place that has humidity and they're
Yeah,
left out,
they'll
they're going to
stay
soften
moistened.
again.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So, all right. Anybody else? Anybody that we really missed that maybe we should go back and I always feel bad. Like I joke around when I'm doing my Q&A. Like I have a really hard time hanging up the phone on people before I like know that we didn't miss something that's important. Um,
Do they have? Here's one from Betty Davis.
do they have an equivalent to our baking powder biscuits other than scones? Baking powder biscuits would be like a biscuit. Like I'm talking about the bread
Yeah,
biscuit.
yeah.
Would you call those scones here?
The scones are virtually what
What
would
you
be
would,
the equivalent here.
Okay.
I mean, the scones are slightly. I mean, I haven't experienced your biscuits. Yeah, and
I should have made them.
but ours are like a very lightweight scone, a little bit lighter on that one. So, but they'd be very, very similar on that. And see, with us, our scones here we will have with cream and with jam, strawberry jam usually. So it's like a treat. You have that little taste of the salt with everything else on that, makes a big difference on that, which is something I haven't done for you either because we haven't had time on that one. If we did that, we'd need another 3 months.
I know.
You know, to do that.
I'll have to
But
come back
very
and I'll
similar.
make American biscuits.
Mm.
This is so good.
Marianne from Hervey Bay.
Marianne, thank you so much for communicating with me kind of offline, sort of getting the whole stuff so that we felt comfortable going to Gari. Thank you. Fraser Island, as people call it. Both. They call it both. Okay. We are having a great time. Thank you so much. I think we can wrap it up now. I'm going to get the... Oh, Kathy. Okay, Kathy wants a chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Okay, I can get
Okay.
that.
I'll have John send that too.
Yep.
So good. Will they last in a tin for a few weeks?
Yes.
Which ones? These will last a long time
Yep.
because they were shipped. So they were designed to last for 6-8 weeks. At least, probably.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Minimum on that one.
I can't stop eating them. This is what happened when I made the half a batch. I think I had one left for Jeff. That's a lot of cookies. I ate like 20 cookies in a day. It's ridiculous. They're not cookies.
Biscuits.
What is wrong with me?
No, look, you're so used to calling cookies in the US.
But I should
It's
have more
all right.
respect than that. I
all
mean,
right.
it's ridiculous.
And just be aware, we've only made one tray today. That recipe will make about 35. All right?
35 biscuits.
So you'll be fine.
Okay, I'm sorry for calling them the wrong word.
That's all right. You're all good.
Ridiculous.
They won't be knocking on the door with guns to take you away. If you
Yeah, I don't
just-
want to go to jail.
No.
But maybe they'll just keep me in Australia and school me a little bit more.
No, they'll probably escort you out of the state.
Oh, I don't want that happening either.
Well, we're about to escort ourselves out of
Yeah,
This
unfortunately,
state.
this state.
unfortunately, these two will be saying goodbye to us straight after this. But we wish them a fabulous rest of their trip in Australia.
Yes.
And look forward to catching them again soon.
Yes, we have had the best time. I mean, the best time. We walked all over Victor Harbor. What was the island, Barry? Granite Island. And oh my gosh, the views are beautiful. So we've got some videotape. So we got some video, right, Jeff? And we also have some still pictures. And that's another thing. We haven't been posting like we wanted to because we literally fall into bed exhausted. Then it's another day, go, get the coverage, get the video, get this, that. And then we don't have time to like just pull it all together. So look forward to having a lot of stuff to watch, look at, and see our perspective of our trip so far. And hopefully in the next week, we're going to get some of that out and up on our YouTube channel, which is Avoiding Highways with Louise and Jeff. And we have a lot of times that we have avoided highways and we are driving, and both of us are driving. Like, so for anyone who is like worried about driving in Australia, it is not difficult at all. In fact, I actually like it. I feel very comfortable driving. But we have gone off the beaten path several times, and we have just seen some incredible scenery, lots of farm animals. We have seen kangaroos, but we did not get any pictures of them because it was dusk. It was just too low of a light. And we couldn't really capture them, but we have seen them. And what have we seen anything else, Jeff? Deer. but deer are like farmed. So it's not like our U.S. deer that you just see everywhere, just wild. These are more farmed deer.
The galahs.
Yeah.
Oh, the galahs. I've never seen more beautiful colors on birds. I mean, they are just gorgeous. Now, I've seen the coral and white ones, and I've seen black and white ones, right?
Yeah, the magpies.
But I don't think that, no, aren't there's, well, I'm not telling you no. You obviously know the birds here. But aren't there black and white galahs too?
Yes, you're thinking of the black ones, Barry, that we get over, the big black ones, the white-tailed cockatoos and the yellow-tailed cockatoos. So they're all black, and they either have a white insert in their tail or a yellow insert.
Okay, and then they're this, and then the coral ones. I call it coral. I'm not sure.
So
Coral pink.
you're thinking of the we've got the lorikeets, which are smaller ones. We've also got the crimson rosellas.
But do they all fall under galahs?
No, they're not all galahs. They're all
Galahs,
in the
sorry.
cockatoo family.
Okay.
So they're all based in.
Well,
that
they're
one.
beautiful birds.
Yeah,
I mean, they are so beautiful. And when you get a group of them, a flock, right? Would it be? And they are flying, and if you catch the wings right at the right time, the colors are simply amazing. I think I've got like a 1/10 of a second.
No, it's a good
It was a good shot.
10-second shot maybe.
Good shot.
Tell them about that shot though. That was where the birds were flying right by the window.
They were flying right beside our car. And where were we? I don't even remember now at this
We were
point.
heading into Alice Springs.
Okay, so we were heading into Alice Springs from the airport
No,
or from the...
from Oromina.
Oh, from Oromina Station. We were headed into Alice Springs. I forget why. Was it... Were we leaving at the time? Okay, because we went... Did we just go one? Oh, we went twice. Okay. Yeah, we were heading to the train. And I looked over, and of course I didn't have my... I call him Gizzy. It's not Gizzy. Osmo. An Osmo something or another thing that we have with these little cameras. And I didn't have it out or anything like that because I never do. I'm never prepared. It's ridiculous. And I look over and I see this flock of birds and they are just following. They're right outside of the passenger side window and they are just keeping right in line with our car. It's like we were being escorted by the most beautiful birds I've ever seen in my life. By the time I got in my purse and found the thing and set it up and blah, 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 and tried to get it. Did I even do it with my phone? Maybe I did it with my phone. But anyway, I was a bumbling idiot trying to get this stuff together. And I just got the very tail end before they started to go a little bit faster and sort of disperse a little bit and go behind a tree and stuff like that. So Jeff says it's okay. He's going to fix, get that 10-second shot and make it look, maybe, I don't know, slow it down a little bit so you can really see. Oh,
And this is
so
why
gorgeous.
you're driving. So I can see.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. Because I am like, oh, look at the beautiful X, Y, and Z. Jeff's like, oh, do you have your camera out? No, I don't have my camera out. And, by the time I get it out, it's all done. So I'm now driving. I'm driver. He is photographer and videographer, which he does all the time. So we're all good.
Except when it's your nap time.
Except when it's my nap time. When it's my nap time, he has to drive because even in Australia, they don't let you sleep and drive.
That's true. It's very hard to do that. But in all fairness, with your travels, it's been unusually hot, even for autumn here, or the fall, as you call it.
Yeah.
I mean, when they both arrived here, we were in the high 30s, so we're looking up in the late 80s, early 90 Fahrenheit when they arrived. We've had that for a couple of days. The last few days have been back to what the temperatures should be in autumn. So when it's hot, the animals and the birds are staying put. They're not tending to come out. So things that we would like to have seen, like the koala coming up and down our street here, just hasn't been around because of the heat. The roos are keeping away a bit more as well because we have those around the back. So it's really, really been hard for them on that. So, but they're doing really well. They're having a fabulous trip.
Yeah,
which
we
is
are
good.
absolutely having a fabulous trip, and we have not seen any koalas yet.
No.
I
I was about to get a made in China suit and wear that.
but we're going to see them. And,
Yeah.
we're going to see them for sure. And Sue, hi, how are you? Wendy, thank you so much.
Wendy bought us lunch.
Wendy bought us lunch with a super sticker. Thank you so much. And Debbie, I am so sorry that you were back in the hospital. let me know how things go when you feel like it. Just send me a quick message. Let me know how you're doing. I know it's been a long road for you. We are thinking of you. We are praying for you. And I love you. And thank you, Craig. You're just a wonderful person. Thanks for always being here. And you're so supportive of everybody else in the chat, and I appreciate you. Wendy, thanks for being so much fun. And everybody else, George, thanks for always cracking me up, right? You always crack me up.
Thank you for behaving today.
Yes.
And he
He behaved.
behaved.
Wasn't that good? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. We did not have to scold George.
He was warned.
All right.
The pie hunt. He wanted to know how the pie.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
Post an updated
Yeah.
video on the pie.
We will. So we have. Okay, this is, I think, so interesting, but so true everywhere. Is we were looking for coffee. We were leaving Brisbane, going up to, wait a minute, which way were we going?
Down.
We were going back to Brisbane to catch our flight to Alice Springs. And we wanted some coffee. Are you sure? No, we were going
leaving
up.
Brisbane, going up to Garth.
We were, yeah, that's right. We left Brisbane. We were going up to Fraser Island, or actually Hervey Bay area. What is that actual place
we were
called?
around Gympie.
No, when we get up there to take the ferry, where did we actually take the ferry from?
Oh, that's Riverheads.
Riverheads.
Riverheads. So we're heading up, and we wanted some coffee. And Jeff, for some reason, we didn't look at Google Maps. Well, you might have looked at Google Maps for coffee. You might have found it that way. But it was literally, you pull into a parking lot, and there was just an open air type of store. I'm not going to call it a stall, but it was a store,
It was a bakery.
but it was open to the front. It was just kind of, I don't know, side of the road kind of thing, right? Was there other stores?
There was a grocery store across the parking lot.
But was there anything in that? It wasn't even like a strip mall.
There might have been something further.
Might have been. I don't know. We're walking up. Everyone's uncertain about the weather. Everyone's uncertain about the cyclone that was coming. I saw a guy walk off with several loaves of bread, and I'm thinking, this is a really good sign. If people are coming out to get bread from this place
in the rain.
Well, it wasn't even a little spitting. This is a good sign. This is going to be a good place. So we went up originally just to get coffee. We started talking to a local. He started saying, "Oh, well, what are you guys going to eat?" And we were talking about different things, like the pies here are really good, blah blah blah. So we ordered one pie. We split it. What else did we get? Something else?
Yeah, we got the Vegemite scroll, which was.
Oh yeah, we got a Vegemite and cheddar scroll, and that was about it, right? I don't remember. We did a live on it.
Yeah,
okay, so the moral of this story, because you know how long-winded I am, guys, is that sometimes the most unexpected stops will leave you with the best food. And that by far, to date, has been the best pie that we've found. And it is called what? Is it Petrie?
It's Petrie Bakery.
Petrie Bakery.
I think it was called Petrie Valley.
And Petrie Valley or something. And it's was it north or south of Gympie? I don't remember. Totally, if you're in that area, totally worth a stop. I bet everything would be good because I got a curry pie. No, that wasn't what did we get? No, we got a bacon and I forget now. See, it all goes together. What did we get there? We got a bacon. I don't think it didn't have cheese in it. I forget. Anyway, we had some kind of a pie that was more like geared towards breakfast. So it might have been a bacon. I don't remember. It's live. We've got it all covered. So we do have it live. And it was just, to date, it is the best. It is so good. The crust was flaky and not doughy at all. And that's been one of my biggest things. Yeah, it's called Petrie Bakery Cafe. And it is 13-15 Dayboro Road, Petrie, Queensland, Australia. We can't even go back, can we?
Not on this trip.
Next time. Yeah.
Next time.
Because that is a place I would go back. It was so
We'll
good.
find more surprises like that.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of other places that we've stopped. And surprisingly, the gas station one is coming in second right now. The one in Alice Springs is coming in what did you say?
87.
Number 87, and we have only had them like 5 times. That was the most disgusting thing in the world. Really, seriously, so
It went
gross.
in the bin.
Yeah, it did. Straight. We didn't even eat it. It was so gross. Hey, Jolene, how are you? Good to see you. I don't know. Ask John. John, when are you coming to the U.S.? It's a long trip.
Well, I've got to do all this cooking to take with for Louise, obviously.
Yeah.
I have no idea at this stage. Life is busy.
Yeah.
For someone that's retired, I don't know how we manage to work.
Yeah, and John is involved in a lot of things. Like we got to go and see him do the dog training. That's something that him and Barry do. And unfortunately, we didn't see where you were too much, but we hung around with John, and it was the coolest thing. We've got some candid pictures of him doing that. He is amazing with the dog training stuff. We learned a lot, even though we didn't have our dogs in the class, obviously. We learned a lot and things that we're going to go back and do with our dog, with our little Gussie Goo. So yeah, that was really exciting. And then he is not currently, but he has taught the Ninja Foodie classes at a local center that he volunteers for. So he's just very busy guy. So I think we'll have to come back here. What sort of dogs? All dogs. So all dogs.
Everything.
All dogs. So
Yeah.
there's what four grades, I think,
Yeah,
and you
4 grades.
You teach
and
1, 2, and 3.
I teach the beginners in grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3. So we bring them forward from, they start off with not knowing anything and are surprised when they're walking their dog off lead and all under control. So it's an amazing thing to do, and we love it.
Yeah, and they are so. I mean, I saw one lady that this just warmed my heart. Her dog did what she told her dog to do, and she like ran up to John and gave a big hug because like they've been trying to work on this one thing, and then her dog finally got it, and she's like over the moon, ecstatic, and that was great. Oh my gosh. And I'm sorry, Wendy, that you lost your dog. That is really difficult. Yeah. Australian Red Heeler. That is just very sorry. George, somebody asked if there was haggis around here. I said, nope, that's kept in Scotland. And we will visit you next year. And maybe.
We'll watch you. I'll watch you eat it.
You'll watch me eat it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
With Vegemite, George.
Yeah. And Kathy says she's bringing her dogs to you. How long would the quarantine time be for dogs? Do you know, coming to Australia?
Don't hold me to
Probably
this.
like 5 years.
We're asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
I think from memory it was anywhere between 6 to 3 months, depending what country they come from on that. So, but that may have changed. Because we're
3 to
such an
6 months.
isolated country, we have to be very careful of what comes in.
Sure. But they let us in
Yeah.
with hardly any questions.
With 2 bags of salt, I might ask.
That was hilarious. So I did when we going through. Would it be customs? It would be customs, right?
Yeah.
We're going through customs in Australia. They're like, "Do you have anything to declare?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got 2 bags of salt. Each one is 345 grams, which is just 5 grams under your limit. I have one in my bag. Jeff has one in his." The guy's like, "Salt? You bringing salt? What?" I said, "Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?" He's like, "Yeah, I gotta say that's kind of weird, especially that much. I mean, they look like big bags of something. I'm not gonna say. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure, I'm up front. Like, salt, I got salt. But yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one before, but we made it through with salt." So funny. Now he's got salt for life.
Do you want to say hi on camera?
So Jeff offered for Barry to say hi, and Barry's like, "No, not really." Did you do it or you?
Behind the scenes guy. Like
He's behind the scenes.
He's the shy, quiet type.
And Jeff and Louise have been just.
Oh, he says not really, but now he's talking to the camera.
Yeah.
He wants. Barry, we're throwing you on camera. Go.
It's just been such an incredible pleasure to have Jeff and Louise here staying with us, and we've loved every minute of it, and wish them very safe travels.
Yeah. Sad to see them go, but we know they need to.
Yep, we must get on.
Yes,
must
you
get
do
on the
that,
road.
You've got a long trip.
I'm glad we packed before we did this, so now I gotta.
Yeah,
go
now
down
we
the
got to
videos,
tear
so-
everything down. But anyway, I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining in. And I know John feels the
Yes,
same way.
thank you for joining us in our home and our kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Till next time. Love you.
Bye, guys.